Have you ever heard the expression that you are the sum of the parts of those you meet on your way and those who you hang out with? Well, it's true, because what we experience, what we come across, rubs off. Just like our children learn from us, and then we can only blame ourselves for what they say back to us. We also pick up on what other people teach us, not knowingly. And if you think about it, if you think of a situation in your life where you've ever had surrounded yourself with really positive people or really negative people, or a different bunch, think about how that influenced you. So my story is from years and years ago, where I lived with some people who kind of just took every day as it goes. They went to work, came back, had a drink, maybe went for a meal, didn't really do much. There were no grand plans, there was no cheerleading of each other, there was no motivating, there was just kind of picking on each other and just finding holes and not really being great. And that kind of thing just rubs off, because you don't aspire to do anything. You kind of stop having any visions, or you realize that that is not a right group for you, and your alarm bells go on, and you do a rapid exit and go to no one, or go to a bunch of people who are doing what you need them to do, who are motivating, supporting, and not having to be doing the same as you are, just believing in you. And the most important thing is to remember that the top 5 people that you spend the most time with influence you the most. Okay? So with that in mind, go to your sheet of paper, what is it, number 25, and write down, thinking about your average week, or thinking about the recent weeks if they've changed. Who do you spend the most time with? Now, I'm not talking about who you sleep next to, because when you sleep you don't really, nothing really rubs off. You don't speak about anything unless you talk in your sleep. But think about who you spend time with, whether you talk to them, you're around them while you're awake during the day, and arrange those people to kind of find your top 5. Now, it might be difficult when you think your children, because depending on their age, they will be teaching you a lot, or no doubt. They might not necessarily influence everything as well, because small kids don't really tell you any of the truth, while a 7 or 8 year old actually could talk so much sense that a lot of us wouldn't really come up with that. So think about that. If you've got very small kids, that might not necessarily count as your top people. Think about that, and then write down 5 of their top qualities. Okay? 5 of their top qualities, because it will help you assess what behaviors you're learning, what you're seeing, what your subconscious is inhaling, really. So you'll see that. And then write down one thing that bothers you or you don't like about their behavior. Now think about why you don't like that thing. Is it because you're jealous and you want to be like that, you want to have it? Is it because it's against your values? That person's doing something that isn't quite right with you, with your way of being? Is it because there's something that just annoys you, and that might be deeper, and you might need to go back deeper into why? Is it because they remind you of someone? What is it and why? And the reason you're writing all these things down is that once you've arranged the people you know, those top 5 people you hang out with, you then can start looking at what great thing, what things you associate with them, what things they kind of teach you, and then to see if there are things that annoy you because actually they're negative, or they teach you to start seeing things in a negative manner. They might not be the right people for you. You might want to reduce the time you spend with them to a minimum or to 0. And There might be people who really inspire you and you don't have as much time with them as you wish you had. And you might need to start looking at how to do that. But you might find that one thing that annoys you, and that one thing could be that you're jealous of the lifestyle they have because that's what you aspire to have as well. And that is not a reason to stop hanging out with someone. That is the very reason to increase the amount of time, because you want to learn what gets them to where they need to be. Okay, so do that exercise, do it at your own pace, but please don't move on to the next section until you do, because the next section talks heavily about your family and your friends and who's right and who's wrong. And you need to first of all have your clear mind to do this. So please, 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 please don't move on until you've completed this.